Thank you for joining us for the English Literature A-Level talk. I'm here with Miss Hunt to give you an idea of what we cover in English Literature A-Level. As you can see from the first slide, all those different texts are texts that we study at A-Level, and we have got a 100% pass rate and an average grade of a B. So the first thing we're going to have a talk about is the difference between language and literature. Literature is a really broad subject at A-Level. We study a really wide range of different novels, plays and poems, and you'll have a really broad understanding of literature by the end of the course, which is different to GCSE. For language, you study the way in which writers use language in text from the real world, both written and spoken, so they are completely different subjects.
I think the big difference between A-Level and GCSE is that we get to talk about such a range of different things, and we get to talk about things that are really current and things that are happening at the time. So just on that slide that you can see there are just lots of different kind of newspaper articles that's been happening around around this time. So the first one to think about is the #MeToo movement. So we sort of discuss a lot of these things when we're thinking about and teaching A Handmaid's Tale. We also have a think about the idea of pride and this idea of deprived areas and kind of really current issues when we're looking at History Boys, which is one of our set texts. At the top there, we've also got a really current newspaper article about the Windrush generation, and that we kind of talk about and discuss a little bit in Small Island. We also study Half of a Yellow Sun, which again is lots of really interesting ideas about identity and different cultures, etc. And then the coronavirus, which is a really interesting one, I think, at the moment, and something we're probably sick of hearing about, but it's definitely something that we talk about when we think about dystopian and Orwell's 1984. So as you can see there, it's not just studying lots of things from a long time ago, it's really current and different affairs. So how these texts will be studied then. So from the exam board, they've said the ways in which writers shape meaning in their text, the ways in which texts are interpreted by different readers, and the ways in which texts relate to one another and to the context in which they're written. I think the big difference really with A-Level and GCSE with regards to how they'll be studied is that final point about context. So you're not looking in really, really minute detail, page by page analysis, just looking at one text. It's much broader than that. And you're thinking about history, how that kind of ties in. You're thinking about different texts in a similar genre. So it's much wider and much broader than what it is at GCSE. So what that really means then, there's lots of links, as I said, to historical context. We're looking at current issues in the media. So that article there about Alexa listening to our conversations, which makes a really interesting discussion when we're doing some dystopian. Watching different performances of text. So you'll hopefully, if we're allowed to ever go out again, be able to watch performances. But if not, there's lots of different kind of recordings of different performances. And we also look at literary theory, which is something that we don't look at very much at all at GCSE. And it's something that you can hopefully find an interest in, and you can then kind of choose how to explore that in your own coursework.
So what sort of things will you be expected to do for Literature A-Level? It is similar in a way to GCSE in that you'll be doing some essays. You will be doing 4 essays as part of the exam period to be assessed for your final A-Level. However, there's a lot more discussion and group work for when we are studying at A-Level, because you've got a chance to get your views across, to talk about things, to talk about really engaging topics, just as Miss Hunt's just said. You know, lots and lots of different ideas that we can discuss within lessons and work as a group. And also develop your presentation skills as well. So allow you to give presentations, to get your views across to the whole class and develop those skills that are so essential for careers in the future. There is also a social side as well. There's a lot of extracurricular involved with English literature that you can get involved with, which is really exciting. There's a really wide range of texts, as we've talked about before, but we'll just go through a few of those now. There is Shakespeare and Webster. We study Richard III, which is a completely different text to one you've probably ever studied before. Really, really engaging as well. Really fantastic Shakespeare play. We also do a lot more modern fiction, lots of different dystopian novels from the 1960s until the modern day. Loads and loads of novels that you probably have read already, but also we add loads to that as well. Things like Maze Runner, Hunger Games, I'm sure you're all familiar with those. And we also do some poetry, Victorian pre-Raphaelite poetry, which is really, really interesting. Something that will probably be brand new to you, but will be something that you will really enjoy. And we also do some Duffy poetry based on fairy tales, actually, reworkings of fairy tales, so subverting those and looking at different ways in which we can look at gender and ideas about gender within a poem. It's also not just English writers that we look at. It's not just texts that are set in England. We read lots and lots of different types of text. So Margaret Atwood from Canada, looking at her perspectives. We also have Half a Yellow Sun set in Nigeria. Lots and lots of information about the Biafran War, which you'll find really, really interesting, I'm sure. Bangladesh and with Brick Lane, and also the West Indies with Small Island. So lots and lots of different cultures being shown within those different texts to give you a bit more of a broader range.
Yeah, so thinking about a range of different texts that we do then, the synoptic unit that we look at is dystopian. And as Mrs. Graham just said, I'm sure you're familiar with the likes of Maze Runner, Divergent series, Hunger Games. It's kind of the teen version of dystopian, if you like. So what this unit allows you to do is to read really broadly both modern text and slightly older text and more traditional text. And you've got to use kind of your knowledge of all of those things in your final exam. So this, we think, is a really interesting genre to have a look at, and it's really popular at the moment as well. So particularly at the time that we're kind of living in, there's a lot of really interesting text coming out at the moment that you get to refer to. There is a list, so we have to study 1984 and we study A Handmaid's Tale, and there's another brief list, but other than that you can read anything that you like that is dystopian, which I think is one of the really great things about the dystopian genre, really, and about the A-level exam. If you're a little bit unsure, or you kind of want to know a little bit more about what it is that we study and what those things are, there's just a couple of links, and please feel free to click on those, or to kind of have a look at what we mean when we talk about dystopian or pre-Raphaelites. So there's just a few again there of all of the texts that we kind of study, just a bit more information if you want to know more.
I know that a lot of you are going to be thinking, where is this going to take me? So if I do choose to do English literature, how is that going to be helpful in my future career and what I choose to do next? And one of the amazing things about the subject of English literature is it just lends itself to so many different career choices. So, media, influencing, helping other people, any kind of career with communication, you are going to find that you get all those skills. And employers are going to be thinking that that's something that when you've got that English A-level degree, they're going to think, yeah, that's something that the skills you're going to have in order to help you with those particular careers. Law, HR, banking, accountancy, anything in information, public sector, such a broad range of careers that this subject can help you with.
Yeah, so as Mrs. Graham was saying, universities really like English literature students, and the reason is that they find that they've got lots of transferable skills. So it's not just reading, it's not just writing essays, it's all of those kind of skills of research, those skills of kind of empathy, thinking about evaluation, and lots of different skills. So universities really like it, and there's just a quotation there from a professor from Oxford University explaining kind of why they really like English literature students. When you're thinking about your A-levels, it's a massive task, isn't it, to decide what you like, particularly if you're interested in lots of different things. So what we thought was quite useful for ourselves when we were doing A-levels, but equally for students in the past, is just to know what kind of goes together. And I think you want to be thinking about which subjects complement each other. And so just sort of for your information, really, we've just put on what we took, some of the English department teachers took as their A-level, and also what some of our English literature students are taking at the moment. So you can kind of see there that really English literature sort of lends itself quite well to lots of different things, particularly history, psychology, those sorts of subjects, and it's going to help you with any sort of essay writing subject. So that's just really for your information when you're thinking about what does English literature really go with.
Here's a quick rundown of the A-level course, just so you can sort of see what order things come in. So the first exam is Shakespeare, that's Richard III. You've got poetry as well, Rosetta poetry, Duchess and Malfi. And then you can see that a large section of it is also the dystopian, so the synoptic unit of that, knowing all those different dystopian texts, showing what you are interested in that really as well, so pursuing your own line of inquiry and being independent. And you also get a chance to do some coursework as well, which I know is a completely different experience for you in English, because we don't get to do that at GCSE. And we do find that our A-level students really enjoy that, because they can choose a topic that they're really interested in, they can pursue that, and they've got time to make that piece of work really, really fantastic and make it their best piece of work that they've done. So they do really enjoy that experience.
So the best people really to speak to if you interested in it or you're still a little bit unsure is ask any of your teachers. Okay, so they are a wealth of knowledge, so please do speak to them. And equally, email either me or Mrs. Graham, and our email address is on there. We're more than happy to answer any of the questions that you kind of might have at this point.
Thank you so much for tuning into this presentation. Yeah, and please do contact us if you want to find out any more information. Thank you very much.